What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. We've got a few crazy things going on today. I'm going to refresh it just to make sure nobody's saying made a lower listing real quick. Yep, $99.99 lowest for a DT1. That's not preview. DT1 Blue Eyes White Dragon on TCG Player. Market price $658. You see a slow little bump before here in the price trend. I'm trying to click. Yeah, a slow little bump here, and then it just evens out. 3 sellers, all hoping. Well, you realistically think your playset's gonna sell just because of TCG Player? We teach our audience here always to check both, and $15, not even newly listed. So this is what I kind of call a half-assed buyout in some senses. When you have a half-assed buyout, all the foreign ones are left so that people that straggled along, that panic because of the hype, end up buying these out for you without you having to buy them out. And usually you and your group, if you really want to set a new price, you get these before they end up in something like Market Watch. But this is why I call it half-assed, because you cap your own ability for this to become a super coveted collector's card if you actually plan to hold on to them. So what they probably plan to do with this buyout is get them in and automatically resell them. They're hoping that it falls to no lower than $12, so that after fees, after shipping, they get something for their time and it actually is worth it for them. But they've left basically a trail of history of what it actually could be at, and then their sales rate will probably end up being terrible overall. There's so many options for Holo Blue Eyes, so many options for good looking ones, that this one's kind of weird. People are really going after DT cards lately, but I feel like at the end of the day, versus fees, versus shipping, etc., this will probably rest at 9 or 10 and not 12 in my opinion. And they left everything hoping people would panic buy these, and I don't think people necessarily will end up buying these unless the people come back and end up doing that themselves. Like, this is one of those cards that has such a high quantity out there, you need to rebuy it multiple times to actually make it stick up. Now, DTP is actually surprisingly at 200 lowest on TCG Player, but it's around 156 on eBay. Now, this is where always check both isn't good enough when you're shopping. I actually found out Troll and Toad has had a few sitting in stock for a while at the lowest price that I've found on the market at 140, and then 138. Like, there's no way DT's ever going to be realistically very close to DTP1 in terms of being coveted in a collector's card. So DTP1's just one of the hardest to get kind of versions of dual terminal cards. And it's, you're telling me you think people will actually go for this? Somebody just save my sanity and go ahead and list one at $50 so that we can kind of not have it near that ridiculous $100 mark for me. Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon still sitting at $25. I wanted to talk about a few Blue Eyes things, because overall, Blue Eyes has been going up. It's got that perfect level of, it was competitive recently in terms of, you know, the entire length of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then you have the collective aspect of, it's the most powerful dragon that Kaiba summons, etc. Like, people really like the show. They like to have that nostalgic feel, and they like for Blue Eyes to be good, so a lot of people going after Blue Eyes cards in general, and that's staying up because, well, we didn't get that Ultimate Rare and OTS Pack 7 that was so highly rumored and supposed to be credible. And then we see other Blue Eyes, including the Ghost Rare here. Like, you look at these market prices, and then you look at the prices on TCG Player all over the place. So when it comes to Blue Eyes, it just seems way, way up on the actual available price versus market price for a lot of these cards. So I guess the DT was the next in line to kind of get bought out somewhat easily instead of like these $18 slots. What's the difference? JMPS, JUMP. Okay, so there's like a different, this is probably just a little more rare. So we come over here and we actually see the gold at 30, which is like $10 less, but there's only one seller and I think like maybe one quantity. Oh, two, but its condition is quote unquote used, despite saying near mint in the title. And it does look scratched up, but that's actually the sleeve. Like, it took me a while to look at the one where it goes through the star and see the same kind of whiteness, because the scratch over here on the left ends at the corner of the card. So, like, it took me a while to get it, but even though it says condition used, it says near mint in the title. And if it's not, you should be safe, because They describe near mint, and please read description of grading. Couple of minor flaws. A nick. Oh, so they actually put near mint at different than what near mint means. Interesting. Maybe that's why it's taken a little bit to sell. A nick, huh? So, actually, lowest over here at 45. Interesting. I took my time to look at that and took near mint in the title to mean what it means, but they want to give their own definition of it. Isn't that cute? But it's wrong. So yeah, you do always want to be careful when buying on eBay as well like that. A bit of advice that I was thinking of, I was thinking you should sell your super allures at first, but then I actually looked at the Ultra, and the Ultra's been going up slowly in terms of, like, you can't get them like you used to. This is a picture, I think, of the Ulti, so that's wrong as well. But market price 15, lowest 20. There's only one available for 15 on eBay near mint before it starts to go up even more and quickly starts to reach 20. I don't know why one with the signatures right there. But the ultra rare is what I was thinking would make it, because the ultra rare was around 10 to 12 when I last looked, and the supers are around 6 to 7 still with a common coming out. So since you have two higher rarities, ultra kind of being the base and then ultimate being, you know, really hard to get, I was thinking, well, a new common's coming out in Layer of Darkness, and that usually hurts the super rare and brings it down for a while, and then they go back up together over time. You still might want to trade your supers, but at the same time, with the Ultra going up, people will start to go for the Pleb Super over the Ultra, just because of the price difference, but not wanting to play a common, and that can cause the Super to go up slowly as well, instead of tanking when the common comes out. It's kind of your call. There's no real telling where it will go. You might want to hold if you're not getting the structure decks anyways, but Allure is definitely great value out of the structure deck. Totally awesome has been actually creeping up. I didn't know this one. It's done the slow creep from the mega pack, being one of the cards worth most out of the mega pack, and then the originals have been doing the slow creep up too towards 7, about $1 more. And we come over to eBay. If we go for Inov Secret Rare first, I think it meets around $8 lowest as well. So it's actually cheaper to get a first ed on TCG Player, but in my opinion, Paleo Frog has been a solid choice. It keeps topping regionals. It just hasn't gone anywhere. People don't have side room for Hatronade. They're not taking it very seriously right now. So it's a great budget option with Paleozoics and Frogs, etc. to have for regionals, to have as like a deck to play test against, because if your deck can't handle back row, usually it's not meant for the most competitive of play, but the deck is still very good as well. You could take it to regional. It's a good deck to keep that won't lose value very easily, that you might want to just have in your back pocket, you know, at all times. It's kind of like BA. It just seems to transcend formats and continue to be somewhat relevant. A card I didn't know was $2. Well, actually, two of them. Raid Raptor Call up here at $4 actually versus a market price of $2.42. But Phantom Knight Sword is headed towards $2, a $2 market price. I guess it was natural over time that as the PKs went up because of the new BA Link Monster hype, that perhaps this would, and naturally over time it seems to have just crept up towards $2. There are 6 available on eBay at the 99-cent mark if you want to get yourself a couple before it meets it at $2 as well, and then just continues to become very, very scarce. So if you want, if you for whatever reason don't have them, this is probably the place to grab them before it gets really crazy. But over time, this has just done the slow creep, and nothing sets it aside besides quantity and rarity from Fogblade, which is, I think, like $15 still. Yeah, $16 here, market price. But overall, I didn't know Raid Raptor stuff from the original was up here either. So if you have that lying around, it's not as useless or worthless as you might have thought, at least in terms of trading. And it might be something you want to put in your trade binder or end up selling online. And finally, let's go back to Infernoids. They've actually got a secondary volley of buyouts and have been creeping up even more. It feels like people are really dedicated to this deck as the deck around Layer of Darkness for potential. Using that field spell to tribute your opponent's stuff with Infernoid seems very exciting. I have 2 thoughts here. Infernoids aren't the most consistent deck, and that's why they weren't in this current meta. They were very good during the Spiral format in the OCG, but overall, they kind of were more lackluster over here during that format for us. and I feel like it just has a rough time overall. So people really are going for this, and I haven't seen it much on DB. I'm not quite a believer yet, but I do also know not to underestimate this deck, as it's very powerful. But we actually see on a lot of cards, actually, a secondary volley of buyouts. Decatron now above on TCG Player. Armadic going up even further on TCG Player. I don't know if this is just holding the line or actual volleys, but like Hanunku's actually under quote-unquote market price here, and then above on the original. But it's pretty crazy to see a secondary volley in price rises on TCG Player here for the deck. So take that as what you will. Do know this seems to be the call for our new Layer of Darkness structure deck, and take it as what you will. Did you guys get in on this? Did you guys know that you needed Infernoids because of it, or did you sleep on it and are still sleeping on it? I'm sleeping a little, but I do see how it could be really good. Like, when you pop off, you're gonna pop off and it's gonna feel good, but I think through like 12 rounds of tournament, I don't know how that one's gonna do, Kev. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and do let me know what you thought about all the blue eyes kind of just spiking over time. That one makes sense overall. And yes, this DT one, I may be harsh on it, but it does make sense as a buyout. But this is like, when I see this, it's not a buyout done very properly, in my opinion.